Accepting oneself. In the short story The Paper Menagerie, Ken Leo tells us the story of a boy named Jack and his family. Jack is born with a Chinese mom and an American dad. As Jack grows older into his teens, he slowly starts rejecting the Chinese culture. Slowly but steadily, Jack starts getting physically and emotionally disconnected from his mom. Upon close analysis, it is clear that a person cannot be happy without accepting their culture, and you should be nicer to those close to you before your memories and relationships you cherish are lost forever. Possibly the most prominent to the story is that one cannot be happy without accepting one's culture. Jack is a Chinese American, but he seems to be embarrassed by it rather than accepting the fact that he shares two cultures. Other families don't have moms that do along, Leo 32. Because of this embarrassment, Jack drifts farther and farther away from his mom and reaches the point where his mind is on his so-called American dream rather than his mom lying sick in a hospital. That clearly shows how far he is from his mom emotionally. One big point is that this ignorance was caused only because Jack thought his was Chinese culture did not fit and decided to abandon it. Later, a new paper animal would appear in my nightstand and try to cuddle up with me. I caught them, squeezed them until the air went out of them, and then stuffed them away in the box in the attic. This could be shown as just a rejection of culture, but further examining, it means more than culture. By rejecting his culture, not only is Jack rejecting his mom, but he's also rejecting the paper animals and the memories he had with the origami. This scene shows that Jack is even rejecting the origami, which was connected to his childhood memories and also a part of his mom. The rejection reaches a peak when eventually she stops speaking altogether if I was around. Leo, 34. As he stays mad at his mom and his mom is being tired of it, the conversation between them becomes the minimum, and no one would be happy not talking to their loved ones. And by that reasoning, this short but important scene shows one cannot be happy without accepting one's culture. The way Leo uses his crafts also supports the team. Looking back in the scene in which the mom breathes life into the origami, Leo shows that the origami is a symbol and small parts of Jack's mom. On page 27, Leo writes, I didn't know this at the time, but mom's breath was special. She breathed into her special animals, that they shared her breath and thus moved with her life. This was her magic. The description here suggests that his mom's breath was special and brought the paper animals to life. But as I see it as a symbol. How the paper animals are representing Jack's childhood memories and representing a small part of his mom that she left behind. The paper animals represent Jack's memories because it's the starting point of all his memories, and thus the most memorable. It also acts as a turning point in his life. In the scene where Mark compares his Star Wars toys to Jack's paper animals, a significant contrast is shown. Almost stereotypically, the difference between the two boys is shown by their toys. After this scene, Jack starts rejecting his culture and starts going forward with his so-called American dream. Thus, this shows how Aloha affected Jack and how it represents his memories. The way Leo uses his craft. The paper animals also represent Jack's mom in multiple ways. On page 28, Leo writes, at my request, Mom also made a goat, a deer, and a water buffalo out of wrapping paper. They would run around the living room while Laho chased them after them, growling. Leo 28. This scene could be represented as just how the mom's breath is special, but I infer a different meaning. See the lively animals as are rational to how happy Jack's mother is. The happier and healthier she is, the livelier the animal would be. This can be backed up by Leo's writer. The paper animals did not move. Perhaps what magic has animated them stopped when Mom died, or perhaps I've only imagined that these paper's constructions were once alive. Leo 37. This shows that when Jack's mom died, the paper animals seem to have died with her. This claim is supported once more when in King Ming, when the dead seem to be back, Laho comes back to life out of Leo's craft. The symbolism of the paper animals support how no one could be happy without accepting their culture. As the mom's mood changes, that affects how the paper animals act. Jack's rejection not only him but also hurts his mom. By getting farther away from his family, Jack also gets farther away from his mother. Then slowly, as this continues, Jack's mother is getting hurt emotionally rather than physically. His mother slowly becomes a memory that gets fainter and fainter. Just when Jack's mom is feeling like she had found her family, Jack, not purposely, pushed it away. This feeling is clearly shown in the book when she writes in the letter, I was really at home now. I finally find the good life. Leo 42. Or when she states that I felt there were no worries in the world, Leo 42. This clearly shows how happy she was when Jack was talking to her and was young. But as the letter goes on, it is shown how sad she is when Jack stopped talking to her. But can you understand how much joy your very existence brought to me? Can you understand how it felt that when you stopped talking to me and won't let me talk in Chinese? Leo 42. This important quote relates both themes. That's because it shows how Jack not only hurt himself but hurt his mother, and how you should be nicer to your loved ones before they go away. When Jack finally reads the letter, he realizes how his mother felt when he rejected the culture, and finally understands how she felt when Jack thought his mom was fine, she was not. This scene shows a great deal of how you should be nicer to those near you before it becomes a memory you cannot reach anymore. While some might argue that Jack might be happy after rejecting his culture because he found his true American dream, but what they forget, it is shown clear in the book that says otherwise. In the last scene, it is shown that the young woman handed the paper back to me. I could not bear to look at her face. Without looking up, I asked for her help in tracing out the character I in the character below Mom's letter. I wrote the letter again and again on the paper, intertwining my pen strokes with her words. Beautifully. It is clearly shown that when he could not look up in the woman's face, that he is crying on her state where he regrets his action he made in the past. By this critical scene, it is shown how clearly Jack is not happy after rejecting his culture. In conclusion, Liu goes behind the idea not accepting culture is bad. He distinctly shows us in his writing how not accepting the culture not only affects the person, but how it affects the people around them. He shows repeatedly the idea of how regretful it is to reject something. He also spoke in his writing about how a person should be proud of one's culture. It is through the paper animals that change Jack's feeling thoughts in his culture. Although Jack has a good life in the end, what deserves the spotlight is the question. How happy can a person be without accepting their culture?